Hello, everybody. Today, I want to talk to you all about the life lessons that I have learned thus far from running. These are some really great and meaningful to me lessons, and hopefully to you all as well. And probably you will find that a lot of these ring true in your life, in your running journey, and in a variety of other places. So let's jump into it with number one. You can probably do more. That's a pretty bold statement. I understand that a lot of advice out there with running is you don't want to do too much too fast. With life in general, you want to find a work-life balance. You want to have harmony in all of the areas of your life. And a lot of the messaging that we find ourselves listening to day in and day out does revolve around the concept of balance. That said, I found in my training that every time I push myself to do a little bit more, I could do it. The normal a few months ago becomes easy, and what was unthinkably hard becomes the normal. And the cycle continues to turn. The wheel turns, and you get better and better at whatever it is that you're pushing the envelope on. And this is a life lesson that you could apply to your professional life. If you work a little harder on that project, maybe you'll be able to deliver a better product to whoever you owe it to, whether that's your boss, whether you're an entrepreneur and you want to have a larger market share in whatever niche product you're offering, or if it's delivering care at a hospital, going the extra mile, having a little bit better bedside manners. You know, the phrase going an extra mile in general. That's what this is all about. The life lesson here is to go an extra mile, and you probably can do more. You're capable of so much more than you give yourself credit for. Anytime I hear something, a phrase that is intended to put a limiter on your performance, that is a red flag to me. And so, number one, you could probably do more. Number two is it isn't easy, and that's a good thing, right? I have had so many bad training sessions over the last month, and I've had so many good ones as well. And it's the bad ones where we learn lessons. It's the suffering through the challenges that inspires growth. If you even think on a biological level, how a muscle grows, right? You are ripping the fibers apart, and the body heals where the fibers ripped apart and creates a stronger, larger muscle, right? So how do we grow? It's through this ripping and recombining and ripping and recombining, this push and pull, this struggle of daily life that brings us the ability to grow as athletes, as professionals, as for those of you out there that are parents, as siblings, in any relationship. It's the friction points, the hard parts of life that, while they might not be fun, and you might feel like you're going to die on the run, those are what inspire growth in the body physically and mentally, right? Going through those hardships, those challenges, creates a mental strength as well as a physical strength that is really critical to being open-minded to take on the next large task and the next big challenge or the next promotion. And when you have these little building blocks that are, you know, this big setback and then this big leap forward, and you do that enough times, right, it's just a graph that endlessly trends upwards. Okay, 3, the only way out is through. This is in reference to a concept where you have something in front of you, something really challenging that either you've been avoiding it or you are already living in it, and there's no option but to do the thing. and you must work through the thing, whatever it is. So if it's a project at work and you're already assigned the project at work and it's really hard, right? You don't know how to use a tool that you're using very well, or maybe you have some difficulty with coworkers, or maybe there's a report that's really confusing to you that you don't understand the data in, or maybe it's as simple as you can't get the temp correct on the burgers, right? It's hard to do. And you might not know how to do it, but the only way to get to the next level in your job or in your training. So for training, it'd be like, oh, I can't, hit a 65-second quarter or whatever. I definitely can't do that myself right now. But if you were trying to get faster at the mile or at the 5K, the only way to get out of that situation, to get to the point where you want to be on the other side of your current challenges, is to go through those current challenges and face them. And this is so overwhelmingly omnipresent in running that, I mean, we have all experienced this feeling that in order to get to your next goal, you have to live through your current goal. And in order to get to the next one after that, you need to live through that one, right? So for example, if you're really struggling to break 4 hours in the marathon, you need to do more long runs, do more pace-specific training, do all of the things that you need to do to get through that goal. And then you need to accomplish that goal. The only way out is through. Then when you're on the other side, you will be already in a new goal. You'll find yourself exactly where you want to be, setting a new goal. 4, consistent input gives consistent output. This much is true universally. It's like a law of thermodynamics or something. I'm not very scientific, but energy in equals energy out. If you're consistently putting in a certain type of energy or a certain effort day in and day out, whatever that might be, maybe you're currently living a life where your day looks like you wake up, you drive to work, you go to work, you work for 4 hours, you go to lunch, you eat a large lunch, or you bring your lunch and eat your lunch, and you go back to work for 4 hours, you drive home, then you watch TV and you go to sleep. That's pretty normal life for a lot of people. Maybe, you're setting that type of life will equal that type of result. So whatever results you're currently seeing, if you're consistently doing the same thing, you're going to consistently see the same results. Whether that's maybe you don't need a ton, and maybe you're a relatively healthy person with a low activity level, right? That's possible, living that lifestyle. But you're going to see the results of that lifestyle. So you're not going to have the ability to even run a mile if you consistently input a diet of watching TV in the afternoon, right? But maybe your day looks like, and it could change right now, it could look instead of like that, wake up, go to work, whole thing, then get home, change into, some running clothes, go outside for 10 minutes. If you consistently put that 10 minutes in, then your health outcomes are going to change by that 10 minutes, right? So consistency in, consistency out. It's a pretty simple one. The way that this manifests for me in running is when I am consistently running 6 days a week, maybe multiple sessions per day, maybe not, I'll consistently be hitting or improving the times at which I'm completing certain sessions, right? My easy days will become easier because I've consistently put in that effort, right? And it's almost like this progressive overload. And eventually that the goalpost moves, and the consistency becomes consistency of a different sort. It becomes consistency of a different sort at a higher level, right? Of performance, right? In this example. But if you were to say, spend 30 minutes a day learning a language, well, eventually over time, you would learn that language, right? If consistency in gives you this reward, or this outcome. It doesn't even have to be morally evaluative. If you consistently put in a diet of language learning, you're going to consistently output a language learning outcome consistent with the effort that you put in. So just think of this as effort in equals effort out. And remember that as you go about your day and what you're putting your own efforts into, that those will return and combine and create ultimately the person that you are, right? And then contributes to identity in a large way. Number 5, food is fuel. This is a deeply personal lesson that running has taught me, and I know a lot of other runners have experienced this over the course of their training to become better athletes. For my whole life, food to me was a source of comfort, was potentially a source of addiction, was and is something I love deeply, but could be abused and not treated with the healthy respect that it deserves. Over time, with running, for me, it became evident that certain things that I was putting in my body contributed to worse sessions. And when, for me, I get focused on something, like hyperfixated on something, such as running in this case, I tend to prioritize that above all else in my life. So right now it is running. And other times in my life, it's been reading literature. So whatever has grabbed my attention so thoroughly, I will over-prioritize it. And since I've been over-prioritizing running, food has become retrained in my brain to either be good for running or not good for running. What do I mean by that? Sometimes if I eat something and the session after eating that thing or the day after eating that thing I'm running and my stomach doesn't feel good, I shouldn't have eaten that thing. Or if I feel logy or low energy or whatever it might be, maybe my nutrition is wrong. And so I've had this a couple of times where if I've had any dairy, that's really not supportive of my running. So I've pretty much cut out dairy from my life, which sucks because I really like cheese and milk. But these type of things are the sacrifices, yes, that we make. But also if your diet is not supportive of the lifestyle you want to live, there's one of two things that you could do, right? Remember, it's the same thing as consistent input gives consistent output, right? So if you consistently eat things that don't support your lifestyle, then you're fighting upstream against your diet and against your lifestyle. If you do eat things that are consistent with your lifestyle, that support your lifestyle and the decisions that you're making that you want to grow into, then you're in alignment and you're treating food as fuel. It's developing a healthy relationship with food. That's such a big one that I think a lot of runners do still struggle with, like body image issues resulting from body fat and food consumption and dieting while running, trying to lose weight as a priority, not prioritizing the running, cart before the horse type of situation. And for a long time, I mean, I empathize for sure. That was me, in fact, is trying to run as a vehicle towards weight loss. But when I was able to reframe the discussion in my brain as no, food is actually critical to my success as a runner. I just need to be eating the right things that make me feel good. And it doesn't have to be good food all the time. Like for me, for example, I could eat Doritos and that's fine. That's supportive of whatever my goals are. I know that's crazy sounding and I don't eat Doritos every week, right? That's not great for you and it's got all sorts of additives and they're highly addictive and delicious, and I love them. Doritos, please sponsor me. They're not good for me in that sense, and they're like scientifically backed. This is not a nutritious substance to be putting into my body, but it doesn't defeat my goals, so I don't eliminate that from my diet entirely. Person I was talking to at Run Club has, I forget what she called it. It's like running cake, refrigerator cake or something. But she just would eat cake throughout the week because if you think about it, for running, you need a bunch of sugar and carbs, but fundamentally like sugar to fuel your runs. And that was a great source of carbs for her to, eat throughout training for an ultra, right? So people might um, consume different things based on what their training is. Like you ask a bodybuilder, should you eat cake? A bodybuilder is going to look at you like you have two heads. But somebody that's training for an ultra really does need to replenish those glycogen stores. And the best way to do that for whoever it might be, as long as it's not making them feel bad, it could let them eat cake. Just eating in accordance with your goals is so undervalued and undertaught. And that is something that I've learned from running. Number 6, discipline is built brick by brick, which eventually makes a house. Let's define discipline first, because there's a different spin on this depending on who you're talking to, what discipline means and what it equates to. For me, when I talk about discipline, it is building healthy habits that are built into your day that are non-negotiables that you will do regardless of whether or not you feel like doing those things. And they often, for me, points of discipline often are things that I enjoy, right? It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. Like when you see people going to the gym every day and getting jacked and swole, they enjoy that. They like that. That doesn't mean that's not discipline as well. They're still disciplined and do it on a regimented schedule. Same with runners, right? We are disciplined in the sense that if we can run, we will run, right? That's the sort of ethos here is I have this schedule that I have obligated myself to stick to. I intend to accomplish this amount of volume, or for lifting, maybe it's also volume, but I have these goals that I want to work towards. These are the days and times, the parameters with which I'm working. And I will do this unless some extreme circumstance occurs. So the extreme circumstance might be like a car crash or like death in the family, really like things that are hard right turns. Or it could be if you are genuinely not feeling well, maybe you're sick, or maybe you need extra recovery that day. That is possible. But that's challenging because that for an undisciplined person or somebody that's not practiced in the art of discipline could snowball into taking another day off and another day off. So it's, discipline is being discerning with when you need to rest and choosing activity over rest. That activity could be anything. I'm going to give you another example. Language learning. Right? This is something that I do very casually and it's enjoyable. I am not as enthralled with it as I am with running. So I need more effort to be disciplined in language learning. And so every night I will do it. If I miss a day, it's because I let the day get away from me. And sometimes that can snowball. So this is why I'm saying, let's go back all the way to the top to the metaphor. Discipline is built brick by brick, and eventually you're living in a house, right? So the bricks that you lay are the days that you do the thing, right? Whatever the thing is for you, whether it's language learning, reading a book, running, lifting, any challenging hobby that you want to implement into a regimented schedule to eventually reach a goal, right? That's the structure of discipline. It's built in the individuals. It's built in choosing to do the thing versus not choosing to do the thing, and then always choosing to do the thing instead of not choosing to do the thing within the parameters that you set yourself. So why does it eventually become a house? Well, if you're living in years of foundation built upon daily efforts, you are now within this comfortable like hand-built house of skills, of a daily practice that gives you meaning, of something that you enjoy doing. Because if you're going to be disciplined about something, it better be something that you truly do enjoy doing. Otherwise, it's going to be an uphill struggle. And you can fall back on your own personal judgment on when it's maybe better to take some time off from the activity, if that ever does occur to you or become relevant in your case. Specifically, it might not, but you have this house now of discipline that you've worked on for however many years. You will find security in that long term. So discipline built brick by brick until you have a house. The last one is a big topic. Number 7, understanding your body leads to a better understanding of your emotions. It's a lot to unpack here. When you're a runner, right, this is a lesson that I've learned from running. I know when my knee doesn't feel right. I also probably know when I could still run. This is a needle that we thread, but I probably know when I can still run on a bum hip, on maybe some shin splints, on a knee that's in pain. I understand my body. I'm in tune with my body. I could listen to it. I could feel the various things that are going on. I know if my stomach is upset in a way that's not normal. I mean, it's never normal, but if I'm feeling sick on a run, I know probably what caused that, right? Going back to the diet discussion, like not diet in the grand term of diet, but the nutrition in and results of your nutrition discussion. I'll probably be able to trace back why my stomach doesn't feel correctly, because I eat mostly the same things throughout the week on any given week. If something foreign was introduced to my diet, that's probably the first place to start. Or if it's a known trigger for my stomach not feeling great, that's another place to start, right? So your body, you know what's going on there. Maybe you're having a terrible run and you just feel like this exhaustion, or maybe it's, this overwhelming sense of weight on you. Maybe it's hot outside, right? Maybe you can abstract from your internal conditions what might be going on externally to you and how that might be impacting your mood, right? Your psychological state and your physical state, right? So if you're in tune with your physical, you have a much higher percentage chance of being in tune with your psychological. This, to me, I sort of like jumped the gun a little bit here. It implies that if you're in tune with your physical and you know why you're feeling not so great, you might also be able to catch yourself in bad moods. This manifested yesterday for me. This is a great recent example of how being in tune with your body is so impactful on being in tune with your emotions. So I just ran, a Sunday marathon yesterday, which I'm really proud of, but I was obliterated afterwards. And it was pretty rough. And I was being really grumpy with my dogs, even though they were just being really good boys. But I was short with them. I was telling them to go away and stuff, even though, that's not how I normally am with them. And I was like, what is going on with me right now? Why am I feeling this way? Well, it didn't take long before I understood, dude, you haven't eaten anything since your run. This is the thing that I struggle with running like super long distances, especially on Sundays, like anything over 20 really. I'll be pretty predisposed not to eat. And that leads to a negative state of mind. If you don't eat after your long run, that's about the dumbest thing you could do, right? You got to eat after your long run. It helps recover your muscles, your body, and get you back into ship shape to take on the rest of your day. But, whatever, my brain wasn't functioning correctly because after 26.2 miles, it's hard. This is another thing to keep a note on this whole list. It isn't easy. It isn't easy. It's never going to be easy. That's the point. But I was able to take a step back, understand that, hey, you don't feel good emotionally. You feel grumpy, short tempered, and cranky like a little baby because you don't have any food in your body. So I went to the store, I got some food, I ate a giant sub. I felt so much better. It lifted me entirely. And so, life lesson from running, the final life lesson from running that I found is that being in tune with your body puts you in better touch with your emotions. And that is something that we are societally in short supply of. And of course, I am no perfectionist in this avenue. I have a life of not understanding my emotions. And only in the last couple of years, with being so in tune with my body, have I been able to access an understanding of my various mental states, right? And a lot of people might not have that, but that's something that running gave me as a gift. And if you continue down this path with your running, maybe you've exceeded where I'm at. Maybe you're even further along this journey and you really have a good emotional vocabulary to describe the different ways you feel because you have been running for so long and you understand what your physical body is going through to produce these various chemical and hormonal responses to different stimuli. And that's awesome. And I think that I'm going to go and continue to learn emotionally from the physical states that I exist within. And I hope you all do as well, because that's maybe one of the biggest gifts that running has given me is emotional regulation and emotional understanding. I wish we all had more of that early on in life. But this is just not how society was structured up until now. And I think we're seeing that turn around and get more emotional intelligence embedded into each and every one of us. So those are my 7 most unexpected and personally important life lessons that I have learned from running. I'm curious to hear what you all think of these, if any of them ring true to you, and if you have any lessons that I didn't touch on throughout the course of this video. I would absolutely love to know. So for now, thank you all so much for your attention and stay in motion.